The night sky over Seoul was clear and filled with stars. People walked home from work or dinner unaware of the large ship hiding behind the moon. This ship belonged to aliens called the Warrcs. They had come to Earth looking for humans to take. Inside, the ship commander Krull looked at the planet through the main screen. His gray skin shined under the blue lights of the bridge. 4 arms worked on different controls as he spoke to his crew. "This planet has good specimens for our research," Krull said. "Our scans show they are still primitive. They have no space. Defense and their technology is basic. This will be an easy mission." His second-in-command, Officer Malk, nodded. "The females show the best genetic patterns. They will be perfect for our breeding program." "Prepare the capture beams," Krull ordered. "Target the females with the strongest genetic markers. Avoid the males. They are not needed and might cause problems." Down on Earth, Gina Kim walked out of her office building. At 32, she was one of Korea's top aerospace engineers. Her work on new rocket engines had won awards, though few knew how advanced her private research really was. "Working late again?" asked her friend Hyun Park, waiting for her outside. Hyun was different from Gina. Where Gina built things, Hyun had been trained to fight. After 5 years in special forces, she now worked as a security expert for big companies. Her short hair and strong build showed her military past. "Just finishing some calculations," Gina said. "The new engine design might actually work." They walked toward the subway station. The streets were not crowded at this late hour. "How is Ty handling all your late nights?" Hyun asked with a smile. Gina laughed. "He understands. He's just as bad with his quantum physics research. Sometimes I think we're married to our work more than to each other." As they turned a corner into a quiet street, a strange blue light suddenly shined down from above. Both women stopped and looked up. "What is that?" Hyun asked, her body tense and ready. Before Gina could answer, the light became brighter. She felt her body become light, like she was floating. Next to her, Hyun tried to move but couldn't. The ground below them grew distant. They were being lifted into the air. "Gina!" Hyun shouted, trying to reach for her friend. The buildings of Seoul became smaller as they rose higher. Above them, a large dark shape blocked out the stars. Fear filled Gina as she realized what was happening. They were being taken. In another part of the city, Tae Kim felt something was wrong. He put down his work and checked his phone. Gina should have called by now to say she was on her way home. He tried calling her, but there was no answer. Tae was not a man who worried easily. Quiet and thoughtful, he was one of the country's best minds in quantum physics. But he and Gina had a connection. When something was wrong with her, he could feel it. After trying her phone again, he called Hyun. No answer there either. Now he felt real worry. He grabbed his coat and car keys. At the same time, in a military base outside the city, Captain Dae Park was finishing his shift. He checked his phone and saw 3 missed calls from Tae. That was strange. Tae rarely called him, even though they had become friends after Hyun introduced them. Dae called back right away. "Tae, what's wrong?" "I can't reach Gina or your sister," Tae said, his voice tight with worry. "They were supposed to be on their way home 2 hours ago." "Did you try tracking their phones?" Dae asked, already walking to his car. "Yes. Both phones show they're in the same place, an empty street near Gina's office, but they're not answering." "I'll meet you there," Dae said. As the leader of a special tactics unit, he took missing persons very seriously, especially when one was his sister. Aboard the Vorax ship, Gina woke up in a small cell with clear walls. Her head hurt and her vision was blurry. As things came into focus, she saw Hyun in the cell across from hers. Hyun was already awake, testing the strength of her cell walls. Looking around, Gina saw more cells, all with women in them. Some were still unconscious, others were awake and scared. All of them were from Earth, mostly from Seoul based on their clothes. "Hyun," Gina called out. "Are you okay?" Hyun turned to her. "Yes. But I can't break through these walls. They're not glass or plastic. I've never seen a material like this." Before they could talk more, a door at the end of the room opened. 2 tall beings walked in. They had gray skin, 4 arms, and large black eyes. They wore fitted uniforms with symbols neither woman understood. The aliens walked to a control panel. A humming sound filled the room, and a scanner moved over each. "Cell, look at how they react," one alien said to the other. "This group has higher intelligence than we expected." "It doesn't matter," the second alien replied. "They're still primitive compared to us. Begin the processing." Gina stood up straight, fighting her fear. "Who are you? Why have you taken us?" The aliens looked at her with surprise. One of them pressed a button and Gina heard their speech translated into Korean. "It speaks directly to us," the first alien said. "Interesting." The second alien stepped closer to Gina's cell. "I am Medical Officer Sarn of the Vorax Empire. You are now property of our research division. Your species has genetic qualities we find useful." "We are not property," Hyun said firmly. "We are human beings with rights. You have no right to take us." The alien named Sarn made a sound like laughing. "Rights? Your primitive planet hasn't even achieved interstellar travel. You have no standing in the galactic community. No rights apply to you." On Earth, Tay and Day met at the empty street where the phones had been tracked. There was nothing to see, but when Tay used a special scanner from his lab, he found something strange. "There are energy readings here I've never seen before," he said, showing Day the device. "These patterns don't match any known energy source on Earth." Day looked up at the night sky, his face hard with determination. Something took them. And whatever it was, it came from up there. "How do we find them?" Tay asked, his voice steady despite his fear. "I don't know yet," Day said, "but I promise you this, we will find them. And whoever took them will pay." High above Earth, the Vorax ship turned away from the planet, its mission complete. Commander Krull was pleased with the collection. 37 Earth females with excellent genetic profiles, all safely stored in their cells. "Set course for Research Base Zeta 6, he ordered. "Standard speed." "Commander," Officer Malk said, "should we be concerned about retaliation from the planet?" Krull laughed. "From those primitives? They don't even know we exist. And even if they did, they have no way to follow us across space." As the ship moved away from Earth, Krull had no idea that he had just made the biggest mistake of his life. He had taken people from a world that would stop at nothing to get them back. He had just signed his death warrant. 3 days after the abductions, Tay had not slept. He sat in his lab surrounded by computers and strange devices. His eyes were red from lack of sleep, but he would not rest. Not until he found a way to track the ship that took Gina. The door opened, and Day walked in with coffee and food. "You need to eat something," he said. Tay barely looked up. "I found something." The energy readings from that night matched nothing on Earth, but they left a trail in the upper atmosphere. "I can track it." Day put down the food. "How far can you track it?" "Beyond our moon. But then the trail fades," Tay said. "But I've been studying the pattern. If I can build a stronger sensor, I might be able to follow it further." "The military won't help us," Day said. "I tried to report what happened, but they think I'm crazy. They say the women just went missing. They don't believe in aliens." Tay stopped typing and looked at Day. "Then we'll have to convince them, or we'll have to do this ourselves." Later that day, they met with Lee, a reporter Day trusted. They showed her the energy readings and explained about the missing women. "This would be the biggest story ever," Lee said. "But I need more proof before I can publish it." Tay handed her a small drive. "This has satellite images from that night. A government satellite caught a glimpse of something large leaving Earth's orbit. The images are classified, but I have friends who could access them." Lee's eyes widened. "This could cause panic. Or it could unite people," Day said. 37 women were taken. Not just Gina and Hyun. We need the world to know so we can get help finding them. The next morning, Lee's story was everywhere. Alien abduction, 37 women missing, government hiding the truth. The images from the satellite clearly showed a massive ship leaving Earth. At first, there was fear and confusion. But then something surprising happened. Instead of panic, people became angry. How dare some alien race come to Earth and take humans? All around the world, governments were forced to respond to public demands for action. Within a week, Tae was called to a special meeting at Korea's Defense Ministry. When he arrived, he was surprised to see not just Korean officials but representatives from the United States, China, Russia, and several other countries. "Dr. Kim," said General Han, the head of Korea's military, "we need your help. Your research on those energy readings is the only lead we have." Tae looked around the room. "A week ago, none of you would listen. Now you want my help?" A woman from NASA stepped forward. "We were wrong, Dr. Kim. We've been monitoring deep space and have detected the ship moving away from our solar system. We need your quantum physics knowledge to help us catch them." "I'll help on one condition," Tae said. "I want full access to all resources and no secrets. This isn't about politics. This is about bringing our people home." The leaders agreed. Within days, Tae was leading a global team of scientists, working to understand the alien technology from the small traces it left behind. Meanwhile, Tae was put in charge of forming a special military unit. The best soldiers from around the world were brought together for one purpose: to rescue the abducted women and show these aliens that humans were not to be taken lightly. In a massive hangar, engineers worked day and night on a new kind of ship. Using Tae's breakthrough in quantum physics, they built engines that could bend space in ways human science had only dreamed of before. "We're learning from the enemy," Tae explained to Tae as they inspected the ship. "The traces of energy they left behind taught us how they travel through space. Now we can do it too." Tae looked at the weapons being installed. "Will these be enough to fight them?" "They should be," Tae said. "We've designed them based on what we know of their ship's energy signature. Their shields should not be able to stop these." High above Earth in a space station, astronauts from many countries worked together to finish building humanity's first real warship. They named it the HSV Retribution. HSV stood for Human Space Vessel. Aboard the Warrant ship far away in deep space, Gina and Hyun had not given up hope. They had been moved from their cells to a large room with the other women. The Voraks thought this would make them easier to manage, but it was a mistake. "They don't understand humans at all," Hyun said quietly, as the women gathered in a circle, pretending to rest. "They think we're weak because we're women," Gina nodded. "And they don't guard us carefully because they think we're too primitive to understand their technology." She had been secretly watching how the ship worked every time the aliens took them for tests. Mina, a computer expert who had been taken from her home, spoke up. "I've been counting the guards and watching their patterns. There are only about 50 Voraks on this entire ship. They rely on automatic systems for most things." "Then we have a chance," Hyun said. "We outnumber them. If we work together." Gina pulled out a small piece of metal she had managed to hide. "I've been studying their control panels. Many of the systems need a simple touch to activate. If I can get to a communication panel, I might be able to send a signal back to Earth." "But Earth won't have the technology to receive it," said another woman named Ji-hai. "Maybe not now," Gina said. "But I know Tae. He won't stop looking for me. And if there's a way to follow us, he'll find it." The women continued planning, each using their different skills. Hyun began teaching them basic fighting moves when the aliens weren't watching. Gina drew maps of the ship from memory. Mina figured out patterns in the ship's power systems. Back on Earth, 3 months had passed since the abductions. The HSV Retribution was ready. Built with technology humans shouldn't have had for another century, it was humanity's first step to the stars. And it was built for one purpose: to hunt. On launch day, Tae and Dae stood before the crew of the Retribution. 200 of Earth's best, pilots, soldiers, scientists, and engineers, all volunteers, all ready to risk everything. "Some of you may not come back," Dae told them. "But we go to bring our people home and to send a message to the stars. Humans are not prey." Tae stepped forward. "The ship has enough supplies for 6 months. Based on our calculations, that should be enough time to catch them. Our new quantum drives will let us follow their path through space." As they prepared to board, a scientist ran up to Tae with a tablet. Dr. Kim, we just received a signal from deep space. It's weak, but it has Gina's engineering signature in it. Tay took the tablet, his hands shaking. On the screen was a set of coordinates and a simple message coded in a way only he would recognize. We're fighting back. Come find us. Tay looked at Day, a new fire in his eyes. They're alive, and now we know exactly where to find them. That night, the HSV Retribution launched from Earth, carrying humanity's fury to the stars. The hunt had begun. The HSV Retribution moved through space faster than any human ship before it. Inside, the crew worked around the clock, each person focused on their duty. In the command center, Day studied the star maps as Tay worked at the science station. The signal Gina sent is getting stronger, Tay said. We're gaining on them. Day nodded. How much longer until we catch up? At our current speed, about 2 weeks, Tay replied. The Warrants ship is fast, but they don't know we're following them. They have no reason to use their full speed. The weapons officer, Captain Kim, approached them with a tablet. The weapon systems are ready for testing, sir. We've finished loading the special missiles you designed. Tay took the tablet and checked the data. Good. These are designed to disrupt their shield frequency based on the energy signature we detected. But we need to test them on something first. There's an asteroid field ahead, Day said. We can test them there. Meanwhile, on the Warrants ship, Commander Krull was becoming frustrated. The human women were proving more difficult to manage than expected. 3 more testing machines damaged this week, Officer Malk reported, and 2 guards were injured when they tried to separate the humans who were gathered in groups. Krull slammed his fist on the control panel. These creatures are more trouble than they're worth. How can primitives from such a backward planet cause so many problems? Sir, perhaps we underestimated them, Malk suggested carefully. The tall one called Hyun appears to be training the others in some kind of fighting technique when they think we're not watching. And the one called Gina keeps asking questions about our technology, added Science Officer Vren. I've restricted her access to any control panels after catching her studying our navigation system. Krull growled in anger. Increase security. Keep them separated as much as possible during testing. I want armed guards with them at all times. In the large room where the women were kept, Hyun gathered them for another secret meeting, while the camera in their room showed a loop of them sleeping, thanks to Mina's hacking skills. They're increasing security, Hyun whispered. They know we're planning something. Gina nodded. But my signal got through. I'm sure of it. We just need to be ready when help comes. How can you be so sure help is coming? Asked Ji-hai, who was starting to lose hope. Because I know my husband, Gina said firmly, and I know humans. We don't abandon our own. Hyun looked at the group of women. After 3 months in space, they were no longer just captives. They had become warriors. Each woman had learned to fight, to sabotage the alien technology, and to work as a team. We need to get access to their weapons, Hyun said. The next time they take any of us for testing, look for anything that could be used as a weapon. Even something small could make a difference. Back on the HSV Retribution, the weapons test had been successful. The special missiles had penetrated the dense asteroid exactly as Tay had predicted, disrupting its structure from within. If the Warrants shields work the way we think they do, these missiles will get through, Tay explained to the gathered officers. But we need to be careful. We can't risk hitting any part of the ship where the women might be held. Li Wei, the ship's sensor operator, raised her hand. Dr. Kim, I've been analyzing the Warrants ship based on the signal patterns. I believe I can identify which sections of their ship are the holding areas. Good work, Day said. We'll need that information for our rescue plan. As days passed, the HSV Retribution drew closer to its target. The crew trained relentlessly, preparing for the coming battle. Day worked with the strike team, planning every detail of the boarding operation. Once we disable their engines, we'll breach the hull here, and here, Day explained, pointing to a 3D model of the alien ship. Team 1 will secure the engine room. Team 2 will head for the bridge. Team 3 will focus on finding and freeing the captives. One of the soldiers, Rodriguez, asked, "What about the Warrants?" How dangerous are they in combat? We don't know for sure, Dai admitted, but from what we've learned, they have 4 arms but weaker muscles than humans. They rely on their technology, not physical strength. On the Vorak ship, alarm sirens suddenly blared. Commander Krull rushed to the bridge where his crew was frantically checking readings. What is happening? Krull demanded. Unknown ship detected behind us, a crew member reported. It's matching our speed. Impossible, Krull said. No primitive species could track us through space. Officer Malk checked the readings. Sir, the ship is following our exact course, and it appears to be of Earth origin. Krull stared at the screen in disbelief. How? They don't have this technology. Sir, Science Officer Vren said nervously. I believe they may have reversed engineered our technology from the traces we left in their atmosphere. Show me this ship, Krull ordered. The screen changed to show the HSV Retribution, sleek and deadly, closing the distance between them. For the first time, Krull felt something he had never expected to feel when dealing with humans. Fear. Increase speed to maximum, he ordered. We need to reach Vorak space before they catch us. In the holding area, Gina felt the ship's engines change pitch. The vibration under her feet was different. They're speeding up, she told the others. Something's happening. Mina, who had managed to hack into a data port, looked up with excitement. They've detected a ship following us. I think it's from Earth. The women tried to contain their excitement, not wanting to alert the guards. We need to act soon, Hyun said. If rescue is coming, we need to be ready to help from inside. Gina nodded. I've memorized the path to the engine control room. If I can get there, I can slow the ship down, maybe even disable the shields. And I can lead a team to take control of the security systems, Mina added. I'll handle the guards, Hyun said, her face determined. Aboard the HSV Retribution, Tae noticed the change immediately. They've spotted us, he told Dae. They're increasing speed. Dae turned to the helm officer. Match their speed. Don't let them get away. Sir, at this speed, we'll catch them in 3 days instead of 2 weeks, the officer reported. Tae smiled for the first time in months. Then we better get ready for a fight. The next 3 days were intense as both ships raced through space. The Voraks pushed their engines to the limit, while the Retribution stayed right behind them. On the final day, Dae addressed the crew one last time. Today we fight not just for the 37 women who were taken, but for all of humanity. Today we show the galaxy that Earth is not defenseless. We are not prey to be hunted. We are humans, and we protect our own. As he finished speaking, the sensor operator called out, Sir, we're in weapons range. Dae looked at Tae, who nodded. It was time. Prepare to fire, Dae ordered. Target their engines only. On the Vorak's ship, Gina and the other women felt the tension. Through Mina's hacked data port, they knew rescue was close. Get ready, Hyun told them all. Today we fight back. As the first missiles from the HSV Retribution streaked toward the Vorak's ship, the greatest space battle in human history was about to begin. The first missiles from the HSV Retribution hit the Vorak ship. Bright flashes of light erupted as they struck the alien shields. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the shields flickered and parts of them disappeared. Direct hit, shouted the weapons officer on the Retribution. Their rear shields are down by 60%. Dae nodded with satisfaction. Tae's missiles worked. Fire again. Target their engine section. Tae watched the sensor readings carefully. Their ship design has a weak point where the engine connects to the main body. If we can hit that, we can disable them without risking the holding area. On the Vorak ship, alarms blared as Commander Krull shouted orders. Return fire, use all weapons. The Vorak ship fired back with bright green energy beams. The HSV Retribution rocked as they hit, but its shields held. Damage report? Dae asked calmly. Shields holding at 87%, reported the defense officer. Their weapons are powerful, but our shields were designed to counter them. Tae looked up from his console. They're trying to run. Their engines are pushing to maximum power. Not today, Dae said firmly. Target those engines now. Another volley of missiles launched from the Retribution. This time they hit the connection point Tay had identified. A massive explosion ripped through the rear of the Vorax ship. Its speed dropped immediately. In the holding area, the captive women felt the ship shake violently. Emergency lights came on as the main power flickered. "Now!" Hyun shouted. "This is our chance!" The women moved quickly, following the plan they had practiced for months. When 2 confused guards entered to check on them, Hyun and 4 others overwhelmed them. They took the guards' weapons and key cards. "Mina, take your team to the security center," Hyun ordered. "Gina, head for the engine room. The rest of you come with me. We're going to free any other prisoners and secure this section." The women split into 3 groups, moving quickly through the corridors of the damaged alien ship. They had memorized the layout from Gina's careful observations. Gina led her group toward the engine room. They moved carefully, using the confusion of the attack to avoid being seen. When they encountered a Vorax engineer, they stunned him with the alien weapon. "This way," Gina said, pointing down a corridor glowing with blue light. "The main engine control should be through there." Back on the bridge of the Vorax ship, Commander Krull received alarming reports. "Sir, the humans have escaped. They've taken weapons and are moving through the ship," a panicked officer reported. At the same time, another crew member shouted, "The Earth ship is preparing to board. They've launched smaller craft that are approaching our hull." Krull couldn't believe what was happening. His ship was damaged, his prisoners were loose, and now the impossible had happened. Primitive humans had followed them across space and were winning. "Seal all sections," he ordered. "Kill any humans you see. We cannot let them take this ship." Aboard the HSV Retribution, Dee led the boarding team to the launch bay. 50 soldiers in space armor checked their weapons one last time before boarding. 3 assault shuttles. "Remember the plan," Day told them. "Team 1 with me to secure the bridge. Team 2 to find and protect the captives. Team 3 to secure the engine room and prevent any self-destruct attempts." Tay approached Day before he entered the shuttle. "I'm coming too." "You should stay here," Day said. "You're not a soldier." "Gina is my wife," Tay replied, holding up a weapon. "I'm coming." Dai saw the determination in his friend's eyes and nodded. "Stay with Team 2. They'll be heading to find the captives." The 3 shuttles launched from the Retribution and headed for the Vorax ship. They used the damaged sections as entry points, attaching to the hull and cutting their way in. Inside the Vorax ship, Mina and her team reached the security center. The aliens inside were distracted by the ship's damage and didn't notice them until it was too late. After a brief struggle, the women took control. "I can access their systems from here," Mina said, sitting at the alien console. Her fingers flew over the strange controls as she figured out how they worked. "I'm shutting down internal security and opening all doors between us and the main holding area. There might be more humans in other sections." Meanwhile, Gina's team reached the engine room. They found it partially damaged from the missile strikes, with fires being fought by frantic Vorax engineers. "We need to disable the weapon systems," Gina told her team. "Based on what I've observed, that control panel should connect to the main weapons grid." As they moved to take control, a group of Vorax security forces entered the engine room. A firefight broke out, with energy bolts flying in both directions. Hyun's team had freed 12 more women from a secondary holding area and armed them with captured weapons. As they moved through the ship, they encountered the human boarding party cutting through from their shuttle. "Hyun," a soldier said in surprise as they came face to face. "About time you got here," Hyun replied with a grim smile. "We've started the party without you." The soldier contacted Day immediately. "Sir, we've made contact with the captives. They're free and armed. They've been fighting back from inside." Day wasn't surprised. "Tell them to join forces with you. We need to secure the bridge." On the bridge, Commander Krull realized he was losing control of his ship. Reports came in from all sections. Humans were everywhere, both the escaped captives and the boarding parties. "How is this possible?" he growled. "How did primitive creatures do this?" "Sir, we should abandon ship," Officer Malk suggested. "We can use the escape pods." Before Krull could answer, the bridge doors exploded inward. Day and his team rushed in, weapons ready. "Don't move," Day ordered. "This ship is now under human control." In the engine room, Gina and her team had won their battle against the Vorax security forces. She accessed the main control panel and shut down the ship's remaining weapons. All weapons offline, she reported through the ship's communication system, which Mina had hacked to allow them to communicate. Team 3 from the Retribution arrived at the engine room shortly after. Their leader looked at Gina with respect. "Dr. Kim, we were sent to secure this area, but it looks like you beat us to it." Gina smiled. "We've had months to plan this. We weren't going to sit around waiting to be rescued." Throughout the ship, similar scenes played out as the Vorax forces were overwhelmed by the combined forces of the freed women and the Earth soldiers. The aliens had never expected such fierce resistance, especially from what they considered a primitive species. Tay moved with Team 2, searching desperately for Gina. When they received word that she was in the engine room, he ran ahead despite warnings to stay with the group. As he rounded a corner, he came face to face with 2 Vorax soldiers. Before they could raise their weapons, they were hit from behind by energy bolts. They fell to reveal Gina standing behind them, holding an alien weapon. For a moment, Tay and Gina just stared at each other across the corridor. Then they ran forward and embraced. "I knew you'd come," Gina whispered. "I would have followed you across the universe," Tay replied. Their reunion was interrupted by an announcement over the ship's communication system. It was Day's voice. "Attention, all forces. The bridge is secure. Commander Krull has surrendered. I repeat, the Vorax ship is now under human control." A cheer went up from humans throughout the ship. The battle was over. They had won. On the bridge, Day forced Commander Krull to sit in his own command chair. The once proud alien now looked defeated and shocked. "How?" Krull asked quietly. "How? Did you follow us? How did you defeat our technology?" Day leaned down so he was eye to eye with the alien. "You made one mistake. You took our people. When humans are threatened, when our loved ones are taken, there is nothing we won't do to get them back." Krull finally understood. He had not just abducted humans. He had awakened a species that would now become a force in the galaxy. And it had started with his mistake. He had indeed signed his death warrant the moment he decided to abduct human women. 1 week after the battle, the Vorax ship traveled through space with the HSV Retribution flying alongside it. Inside the alien vessel, humans walked the corridors freely. The ship that had been their prison was now under their control. On the bridge, Day and Tay stood before Commander Krull, who remained a prisoner in his own ship. The alien looked smaller somehow, his confidence gone. "It's time," Day said. "Your people need to understand what happened here." Krull looked up at the humans. "My superiors will not accept this defeat. They will send more ships." "That's why. You're going to send them a message," Tay replied. "You're going to tell them exactly what happens when someone takes humans from Earth." The communications officer, a woman named Song who had been one of the captives, worked at the alien controls. "I've established a connection to the Vorax homeworld. They can see and hear us now." On the main screen, 3 Vorax appeared. They wore elaborate uniforms that showed their high rank. Their expressions changed from annoyance to shock when they saw humans on the bridge of one of their ships. "What is the meaning of this?" demanded the central figure. "Commander Krull, explain yourself." Krull stood up, his 4 hands trembling slightly. "High Command, I must report that our research collection mission to the planet Earth has failed. The humans followed our ship across space, disabled it, and boarded us. They now control this vessel and all its technology." The Vorax leaders couldn't hide their disbelief. "Impossible. They are a primitive species." Day stepped forward. "Not as primitive as you thought. My name is Captain Day Park of Earth. 3 months ago, your commander took 37 women from our world. Today, we are returning home with all of them alive, and we're taking your ship and its technology with us." The Vorax leaders spoke among themselves in their own language before turning back to the screen. "This is outrageous. Return our ship immediately or face the consequences." Tay joined Day. "There will be consequences, but not for us. Your people made a critical mistake. You thought humans were weak because our space technology was behind yours. But you failed to understand something important about us. And what is that? Asked one of the Vorax leaders with clear contempt. We protect our own, Day said simply. When you took our people, you forced us to advance our technology by a century in just 3 months. We studied the energy traces your ship left behind. We built weapons specifically designed to defeat your shields. And the women you abducted fought back from inside your ship. To prove his point, Day signaled to Song, who showed footage from the ship's internal cameras. The Vorax leaders watched in silence as the human women organized, fought back, and took control of key ship systems during the battle. Gina stepped onto the bridge with Hyun beside her. You thought we were just test subjects, she said to the Vorax leaders. But every woman you took had skills and knowledge. I'm an aerospace engineer. I studied how your ship works. Hyun is a military specialist. She trained everyone to fight. Mina is a computer expert who hacked your systems. Hyun stood tall as she spoke. You targeted women thinking we would be easier to control. That was your second mistake. The Vorax leaders were silent for a long moment before the central figure spoke again. What are your demands? Day looked at Tae, who nodded. They had discussed this moment. First, you will never return to Earth or take humans again, Day said firmly. Second, you will share with all other spacefaring races that Earth is protected and humans are not to be abducted or experimented on. And if we refuse? The Vorax leader challenged. Tae stepped forward. Then we will send more ships. Now that we have your technology, we can build a fleet. And next time, we won't be so merciful. To emphasize the point, Song displayed the schematics and data that humans had already gathered from the Vorax ship. The aliens could see that Earth now possessed their advanced technology. You have 1 day to agree to our terms, Day concluded. After that, we continue our journey home, taking your commander with us as our prisoner and your ship as our prize. The connection ended. The bridge was quiet for a moment. Will they agree? Asked Song. They will, Krull said quietly. They have no choice. My people are not warriors. We rely on our technology and the belief that other races fear us. Now that you have our ship and its secrets, that advantage is gone. Later that day, Tae found Gina in what had been the holding area for the captive women. She was sitting alone, looking at the stars through a small window. Are you okay? He asked, sitting beside her. I will be, she answered. We all will. But we're not the same people who were taken from Earth. Tae took her hand. None of us are the same. The world changed when you disappeared. What happens when we get home? Gina asked. Everything changes, Tae said. Humanity now knows we're not alone in the universe. We have alien technology. We've built our first real starship. There's no going back. In another part of the ship, Dae found Hyun training with some of the women. Even though the battle was over, they kept practicing, always preparing, Dae said with a smile. Hyun stopped and wiped sweat from her face. Old habits. Besides, we don't know what else is out there in space. Earth should be ready. Earth will be ready, Dae assured her. Plans are already being made. The HSV Retribution was just the first ship. More are being built. And with this Vorax ship, we'll learn even more. The next day, the Vorax High Command contacted the ship again. As Krull had predicted, they agreed to all the human terms. They would spread the word throughout the galaxy that Earth was not to be approached without permission and humans were not to be taken. Commander Krull was released to a small transport ship to return to his homeworld. Before leaving, he faced Dae one last time. You could have destroyed us, Krull said. Why didn't you? Because that's not who we are, Dae replied. Humans can be fierce when provoked, but we don't seek war. Remember that when you tell others about us. As the transport ship departed, the two human ships set course for Earth. The journey would take several weeks, but after 3 months in space, the captives were finally going home. 2 months later, the ships arrived in Earth orbit to a hero's welcome. The women who had been taken were reunited with their families in emotional scenes broadcast around the world. At a special United Nations meeting, Dae, Tae, Gina, and Hyun stood before representatives from every nation. Today marks a new chapter in human history, announced the Secretary General. Thanks to the bravery of these people and many others, Earth now takes its place among the stars. A new organization was formed, the Earth Defense Force. Dai was named its military commander, while Tay headed its scientific division. Gina led the team studying and adapting the Vorax technology. Hyun became the chief of training, preparing the next generation of space crews. The Vorax ship, renamed the HSV Vindication, became the flagship of Earth's new fleet. Within a year, 3 more ships joined it, each more advanced than the last, as, for Commander Krull, he kept his promise. Throughout the galaxy, the word spread. Humans protect their own. If you threaten them, if you take their people, they will cross the stars to find you. Earth was no longer an unknown world on the edge of the galaxy. It was now a power to be respected. And it all began because someone made the mistake of abducting human women. They signed their death warrant. Humanity responded.